Hello, welcome to Wood Stuff with Hutch, and today I'm going to be talking to you about drilling in wood. Now, I know it seems self-explanatory, I know it seems very simple, but there are a few tips and tricks that'll improve your freehand drilling. Now, this video is assuming that you do not have a drill press. So I'm going to start today with these basic twist bits. Nothing special about them, they just have their angled tips, and a lot of times they're used in metalworking. So here I'm just drilling through a piece of pine. It's unsupported, and I'm being kind of reckless, and you can see that there's a little bit of tear out. And this is a brand new sharp bit. Now, one thing that you should do when drilling by hand is make sure your drill comes up to full speed before pushing into the workpiece. So supporting the workpiece with a sacrificial board underneath it is a tip and really useful technique that, if you can, you should try to do this with all your freehand drilling. This will help prevent excessive tear out on the back side of the hole. And you see that's not too bad, a little bit of fuzzing. Now, another thing that you might struggle with freehand is getting your holes perpendicular to the work surface. So one thing that you can do is just grab some scrap boards, make them form a 90-degree angle, and just set your drill into the corner, and that'll help guide you to be very close to 90 degrees. Another issue you may run into is, how do you get the drill started accurately? So I've laid out a couple of different lines on this workpiece, and the first method you could use would be a spring punch. Now, if you don't have a spring punch, all you have to do is grab a nail that you have laying around and just use a hammer, and you can just tap a little indent. These little dents just give us a starting point for the tip of the drill to be able to rest in when we're starting our hole. Now, if you don't have a nail and a hammer, hopefully you might have a ballpoint pen laying around, and believe it or not, just using that to mark that center is also a way that you can put a dent in your wood. So when drilling, I just take the tip of the drill, gently place it centered on the indent, and begin my cut. Now, that second hole, you can see I didn't take my time to rest the tip into it, and it wandered. Now the third hole, I was more careful, and you can see the middle one's off, but the other two are right on center. One of the most useful kind of drill bits in woodworking are the brad point bits. You can see here, instead of having a tapered tip, they have a point right in the center. This is really useful for locating where you need to drill. And you can see the back side of the cut is very clean, and especially so with the backer board. Now, if I were doing this same operation in, say, pine, whereas I was using hard maple before, you can see it's pretty haggard and there's some tear out on the back side. But if again I place it over the sacrificial board and drill with the backer board, the result is significantly improved. The next drill bit worth mentioning is the spade bit category. It might also be known as a paddle bit where you're from, and this one's 1.5 inches, which is a pretty large one. But that's also one of the nice parts about them, is you can get them in large sizes. Now you see though, this large size is very difficult to drill through a piece of hard maple. And what you can do to help increase your accuracy is just let the point go through the back side, and then use that to locate the center point and drill from the opposite direction. Excuse the drill battery. But once you do that, you can have a cleaner cut on the back side, but you notice aligning the front and back is still a little tricky, and the hole is not perfectly smooth. And here I'm returning to the pine board to show you an unsupported cut. And you'll notice that it does create a significant amount of blowout, especially on something like pine. Now here you can see that I'm struggling very much with cutting through this piece, And that is one of the challenges and downsides of using these spade bits. They do want to catch if you don't stay perfectly in line with the center that you're drilling, and you can see it catching quite a bit. Supporting the back of the cut with the backer board is a significant improvement, although you'll notice spade bits don't always do the greatest job. Here's another type of bit that you may find often in woodworking, and that's the Forstner bit. You notice you can get a very large diameter with this type. Now here's a little smaller one, and once again in the maple you'll see with that point it's easy to locate and it helps it hold center, but it doesn't guarantee that you're going to be 90 degrees to the workpiece. And that's a pretty clean cut with the backer board. That is a nice part about Forstner bits. As I mentioned before, drilling 90 degrees to the workpiece is a challenge with Forstner bits as well as spade bits. And so sometimes just using a square to help you align it from two different directions can help, but it's really easy to get off track and get off angle, which will cause the hole to wander and not be perfectly 90 degrees. And another thing about Forstner bits is you can create some pretty nice flat bottom holes if you don't want to actually go through the workpiece. Drill presses are really nice to have when trying to use Forstner bits, but one thing that you could buy that's not as expensive is a drill mechanism that can hold your handheld drill at a 90 degrees to the workpiece, which you could buy from Rockler. Now back in the pine, I'm here showing you how bad the blowout can be when having an unsupported workpiece with a Forstner bit. It really just takes a huge amount of wood out of the back. But with the backer board, it's a whole different ball game, and you can see here that it is a huge improvement when having that back supported.
So if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.